So next coming up is Robert Barron from IBM. So Robert is the AI Ops lead, and he's going to talk about super interesting challenges and disasters. So Robert, take it away. Robert, I think you are on mute.
Okay, thank you. Okay, so hello everyone. My name is Robert Barron. Day to day, I work at IBM helping clients with their site reliability engineering needs. But what I really like is thinking about the past, space exploration, and all the lessons we can learn from the heroes who brought us to the moon, took us into space. And what I want to share with you today is just one part of one of these lessons. So taking you back to 1986, 25 years of manned spaceflight success for NASA, first American in space, first man on the moon, the Space Shuttle, so many great things they did, and that they were just going from strength to strength. Challenger mission STS-51L was supposed to be a very special mission because it would be the first time that a regular person was going to fly into space. A teacher, not a trained astronaut, would go into space and give lessons to the whole world from space. And the mission started off, unfortunately, on the left foot because the schedule was not good. It kept on being delayed again and again and again till it was finally scheduled for January 1986, which happened to be the coldest launch ever. It was going to be launching at 0 degrees Celsius, absolutely freezing, and many of the engineers tried to stop the launch to tell management that no, it was not safe to launch. Unfortunately, they could not convince management that the launch was unsafe. Launch happened as planned after the fifth delay, but 73 seconds after launch, unfortunately, tragically, the Space Shuttle disintegrated in flight and all 7 lives were lost. During the post-mortem analysis of the problem, what the engineers discovered was that within the side rockets, there are O-rings, rings of rubber that are designed to insulate the rocket and insulate the heat that forms inside. And because of the cold, these rings became brittle, and as you can see, a flame erupted from the side of the rocket. It struck the fuel tank over here, breaking a hole into it and causing it to explode, disintegrating the rest of the shuttle. So when finding out why did this happen, how did this happen, it's very easy to imagine that the problem was a senior manager just shouting at the engineers, "We've delayed too much, launch now, I don't care about your problems." And while there is some truth in this, it's not that simple, because the engineers, when they presented the problems to management, did not actually convince them that the problem was cold. And I'm oversimplifying greatly, but if you take this graph, which shows us the temperature at launch and the damage to O-rings from previous flights, you can see that, yes, there is some damage, but nothing bad happened as a result of this damage. And you can't really show that it's because of the cold. So the engineers were then told to prove that there's a problem, and they could not really prove that the launch was unsafe, so the launch went through. But let's look at another way of examining this information. These are the flights that had damage. If we add other flights that did not have damage, we can see that there is a correlation between temperature. The higher the temperature, most likely less damage. And if we add the projection for what will happen on the Challenger flight, well, we can see that the Challenger launched at a much higher temperature, which was a much greater cause for concern. Unfortunately, all this information is only obvious in hindsight, because during the analysis of the flight, NASA suffered from something called normalization of deviance. What does that mean? That means that in previous flights, there had been damage to the O-rings. It's not desirable to have damage, but it's not dangerous. Shuttles often launch late, and we have to have pressure to launch on time, and we've gotten away with it. This all meant that they moved from a culture of prove that it's safe to a culture of prove that it's unsafe. And it's much more difficult to prove that something is unsafe. So they ended up in a case where technical debt, the problems that they had collected, were less important than making sure that the next mission was launched, or in our case, deploying the next version. So in summary, manage your risk, never normalize deviance, never allow something bad that doesn't have negative actions to allow you to think that everything is going to be fine. Remember the crew of Challenger. Many of the lessons that we get from them will help us today. I have many other lessons available, most of them with happier stories from the successful moon landings that we have. Here are a couple of links to them. And thank you very much. I hope you enjoyed the session and the rest of the conference.
Thank you very much, Robert. Definitely, we should be looking on information before going live and before moving systems to production. So thank you very much, Robert.